Warning, the following audio transmission is based on theory and is intended for entertainment purposes only. It's DoomsDay and its affiliates will not be held liable for anything your dumbass does. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody, to It's DoomsDay podcast. Today is Monday, April the 13th, and Jester has off today. Something about an elective surgery, I think? No, but I do think he is definitely somewhere trying to buy that damn boat that he wants so much. So, you know how it is. Okay, so enough of that foolishness. Today, we're going to be talking about building survival skills, but not really trying. It's kind of the American way. This is going to be kind of a wax on, wax off scenario, if you know what I mean. Now, survival skills like building a shelter, starting a fire in the rain, hunting for food, or maybe even identifying edible plants sound very advanced. But you don't need to dive into hardcore boot camps or, expensive courses to get started. And today we're going to go over 7 basic, fun, and simple ways you and your family can begin learning real survival skills right now with no extreme preps required. These kind of activities are practical, they're enjoyable, and you will build your confidence step by step, whether you like it or not. So let's dive in. First thing is maybe just host a barbecue, kind of the old school way. Maybe skip the fancy grill. Instead, maybe build a fire pit or traditional barbecue pit and cook everything over open flames. This kind of hands-on experience teaches off-grid cooking techniques. It manages things like managing fire, controlling heat, cooking without modern tools, and preparing food in unpredictable conditions. If you've ever cooked on an open fire, you know there's certain ways you have to do things. But try different methods. Roasting on sticks, maybe using a Dutch oven in coals, or, even cooking in foil packets. And that's how they teach you how to do it in the Boy Scouts. You got to wrap everything in tin foil with all the spices and throw it in the fire. Maybe experiment with various foods or different foods to see what works best. It's kind of fun. The food's normally delicious, and it directly builds skills you'll use in any camping or survival situation where electricity or gas is not available. Test question: how many people have aluminum foil in their emergency preps? Hopefully you all do. All right, number 2. Buy a plant field guide specific to your local area. Always specific to your local area. Never buy something off Amazon that's for the Pacific Northwest when you live on the East Coast of Virginia. It's just not smart. Look around, and how many plants can you actually name? Most people recognize only about a dozen or so, but in a survival scenario, knowing which plants are edible or who have medicinal uses can make a huge difference. And surprisingly, many common plants, even in cities, can provide food or medicine when you need it most, aka the magical dandelion. If you don't know, you should probably look it up. So here's how you're going to get started. You're going to pick up a good regional field guide. Then you're going to head out for a family walk, maybe, and there's really 2 easy methods. And the first one is to choose a few plants from the book beforehand and actively look for them during your walk. It's kind of like Game in the Game, but it's like reverse mind training. And the second one is maybe gather samples of unknown plants, take them home, and identify them safely with the guide. This is one way of doing it, but just be aware that some plants have certain oils and enzymes that are not healthy for humans to touch, it's their defensive system. It's their defensive mechanism. So these are the 2 ideas that scientists recommend, so take that with a grain of salt. But the key thing is don't try to memorize everything at once. It won't work. It absolutely won't work. Start small. Focus on maybe 5 to 10 common plants every time you go out. And over time, you'll build real knowledge that you can actually rely on. It's surprising. It's very surprising. I have been through several walks with professionals who have pointed to things and plucked them and said, here, you can do this with this, or here, you can taste that. Isn't that yummy? And a lot of it just kind of went in one ear and out the other because I didn't actually put any real effort into it. I just thought that maybe they would teach me and my brain would pick it all up, but it didn't. It just didn't. All right. Moving on to number 3. You're going to love this one. Build a fort. This is a childhood favorite, and it directly translates to one of the most important survival skills, building a shelter. If you have access to woods, grab some branches and start constructing. Make a lean-to, A-frames, or, even more elaborate designs. Your first attempts might look messy or unstable, and that's okay. But every build is going to teach you about structure, insulation, and weatherproofing. If you got no woods nearby, well, use the backyard with scrap wood or build a small mock-ups using sticks on a table or in a park. If you don't have outdoor space at all, consider joining a project like Habitat for Humanity. You'll learn real building skills while helping your community. And also remember, practice now means you'll be ready when you really need shelter in the future. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. If you can't tell, my voice is a little scratchy today. Oh, delicious. Number 4, play paintball or laser tag. Oh my God, this sounds so difficult. How are we having so much fun learning how to get survival skills? Living in a city doesn't mean you can't practice survival related skills. And local malls often have laser tag and paintball ranges are common in different areas as well. These games actually deliver serious benefits. Improved marksmanship, hunting instincts, self-defense awareness, and maybe even some evasion tactics, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. That's, if you've ever played these games, your heart is going 1,000 miles an hour, and for good reason. It's your instincts kicking in. You'll also get some great exercise and some teamwork practice, and you're going to do this all while having a blast with family and friends, obviously, and the stranger that you get to shoot in the face. Yes, it can be a bit pricey from time to time, but the skills and confidence you gain make it worthwhile. Think of it as like a fun training for real world scenarios. And then, number 5. This one is, we're starting to get to the advanced levels, guys. Number 5, orienteering. And this is a sport where you use a map and a compass, get a quality one, to navigate through the woods, hitting specific points as quickly as possible. It's like a real life treasure hunt in nature. Beyond the fun and exercise, you're going to learn some critical navigation skills. You're going to learn how to read topographic maps, understand contours. You're going to use different types of compasses, and you're going to orient yourself in your unfamiliar terrain. And these are kind of foundational skills for any survival situation when GPS fails or you're just plain lost. Now, how do we get started? I guess you can visit the official orienteering website to find the nearest club or event near you. Many clubs welcome beginners and families. So, grab a good compass and a basic map and give it a try. You might be amazed how quick your confidence builds in the outdoor, environment, And I wish there was more to say about orienteering, but it really is just people running through the woods. Number 6, take a first aid course. This is one of the smartest investments you can make. Everyone should know basic emergency skills. Key things to learn are actually pretty straightforward. How to stop heavy bleeding. That's extremely important. The use of the tourniquet, the ability to and knowledge to press gauze into an open wound. Most people have no idea. They think just cover it up, just keep adding layers and use more pressure. And believe me, the blood will still keep coming out. It just kind of get absorbed into the bandage. And then how to properly dress wounds. There's been too many times where I've seen people who have a bandage on that isn't really doing them any good at all. And it's not just disappointing. It's just a complete lack of knowledge is what it comes down to. And then like different techniques like the Heimlich maneuver. How many people know the Heimlich maneuver? I've seen it on TV once. And then they find themselves in a situation at the local, cafeteria or all-you-can-eat buffet, and somebody starts to choke, and then they're like, "Oh no, maybe I really should have taken that class. Maybe I should have watched more than a couple of YouTube videos." And then there's the mighty CPR. The CPR, you got to know CPR, and it's constantly changing. I was first CPR certified in high school at 17 years of age, and it's changed so many times since then. So you've got to stay up to speed on that. If not just to protect yourself, because if you give somebody CPR and you're not certified or you don't know what you're doing and you do it the wrong way, then you could find yourself in some legal trouble. And then obviously treating for shock. You guys have to know how to treat people for shock. And we have to assume that when somebody is under distress, that they're going to eventually fall into a certain state of shock. And it's really important that you know how to identify the signatures of shock and to treat those as best you can. And the one thing that people kind of forget the most is learning how to handle hypothermia. They think it's very common. It's okay. It's 60 degrees outside. Nobody's going to die of hypothermia. That didn't just drop them into a frozen lake. And this is a serious problem because hypothermia can happen at multiple temperatures. It has nothing to do with the ambient air temperature at all. So just because you feel warm and sunny doesn't mean somebody can't catch hypothermia. It's actually a very common thing. Now, you can find excellent courses through the Red Cross, or you can even check for free or even low-cost options in the local community, because I hate to say it, but the Red Cross kind of charges a little bit too much. And these skills aren't just for the wilderness. They're kind of essential for everyday life and any crisis situation, because you don't want to wait until you need them, and the test question for this section would be simple. Like, is there a tourniquet in your car? Is there a tourniquet in your home? Is there a tourniquet at work? Because the number one cause of death in the world is the inability to stop massive bleeding. And the tourniquet solves that problem almost, I won't say all the time, almost every single time, because obviously you can't really put that tourniquet around your neck or your skull or your waist or your chest. You can't do that. You have to work in the pleural spaces differently, because the tourniquet's not going to save you. And that means that you probably need another piece of your kit so that you can stop that. And with all that said, let's pause here for a second and talk just a little bit about not just first aid, but training, where you can get it and things like that. Because I think this is probably the most important section of this podcast. And that is, there's way too many people out there they believe that this tourniquet that they got on Temu or Amazon, it's going to work. It's going to be great. But there's so many of them that are, I hate to say it, but made in China, and they're knockoffs, and they look and they smell and they taste just like a real tourniquet that's going to work, and they aren't. They just flat out aren't. And you're going to find yourself in a situation where people are going to be depending on you to save their lives because you're the guy with the tourniquet, and you're going to go twist, 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 snap. It's going to happen. This is the one tool. This is the one tool in your medical kit that you can't skimp on it. You got to pay the $32 for this damn tourniquet. You got to do it. Maybe the prices will go down. I'm not sure, but you got to do it because it has to work. And you might want to have a couple of them. And now we're starting to talk about what some people with limited income would call a significant investment. There's a lot of controversy around tourniquets and people's beliefs in them and what you can and cannot do with them. But the truth is I'd rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And when I've been in these situations where somebody is on the side of the road and they need medical attention, then I have a duty to respond and a duty to help them any way I can. And this tourniquet is mine. I am worthless without this tourniquet. This tourniquet is worthless without me. If you know, you know. But then, it's all about the training, like learning to use these different tools, how to pack wounds, how to wrap wounds, how to secure the wound site. You know what I'm saying? How to stop massive and traumatic bleeding. And you're like, oh, that'll never happen to me. Trust me. It's happened to me multiple times in my life. And only a few of them were when I was getting shot at. And so these things do happen. They're part of the real world. And I cannot emphasize enough that you need to be up on your medical skills. You need to be up on your medical skills, because if you're in the preparedness space, then and this is a doomsday podcast, guys. And when the doomsday comes, who's going to take care of your medical needs? Who's going to take care of your family's needs? Your family's medical needs. And you've got to be Johnny on the spot. You've got to be most Ricky Tick and completely capable of solving these medical problems. Because if you don't, no one else will, and someone's going to die. And it's really that easy. Okay, I think that's enough of doom and gloom on the medical side. Let's go ahead and talk about number 7. Number 7, I want you to go camping. Just go camping. This is the best way to prepare for outdoor survival, and it's I guess the easiest way is just get outdoors, guys. Because camping teaches fire making, outdoor cooking, sleeping comfortable in nature, which is really more important than most people think it is. Gear management, where's my stuff and why can't I find it? And so much more. And it also builds self-confidence, especially for kids. And helps you become comfortable in the natural world. And, unfortunately, fewer people are camping these days. But you can change that for your family. You can do it. You can do it in a heartbeat. I'm going to tell you how to do it here in a second. Okay. But I want to go back to camping for kids. A good part of my life was spent in the woods camping, because my father would take me out there and, hey, we go camping. This is what we do during the summertime. We go camping. And we're talking about like neighbors. All the neighbors are gathering up and loading their cars, and we're all going camping. And, where there's a lake and all the kids are, after everything's set up, and they say, get out of here. And, you're all running through the woods with your, sometimes it was sticks that looked like guns. Sometimes it wasn't, and you're just having a ball with your buddies, and you're like in the woods, which felt like the most natural thing in the world to me. And, the staying up late and watching your family like interact around the fire, just commingling with other human beings in your, what is basically our natural environment for humans. Waking up to, pancakes and eggs and bacon on the camp stove, and dad's doing his thing, and mom is just trying to set the table, and all the neighbors are there and helping out, and the kids are like, when are we eating? And they finally bring you some food, and you eat all that up, and then it's like, get out of here, be back here for lunch, and you just run off into the woods, and you just kind of find something to do and talk and play. And I think it's extremely important that our children are doing these things, because it's not natural. It's not natural for us to be in, these, if you're in the city, you basically live in steel and concrete, mortar and brick. And where's my Wi-Fi? There's something to be said for children that grow up without Wi-Fi. And we should probably be taking a very hard look at that. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to start slowly. Because I don't want anybody to get any scraped knees over this. But maybe begin with backyard camping. Set up a tent in your yard, just to get used to using like sleeping outdoors, sleeping bags under the cover of night. I grew up either camper camping or cowboy camping. It was either like all or nothing. I didn't really like sleep in a tent, which is okay. Tents are good for keeping the weather off you. The general rule is always have something you sleep on, in, and under. So it's a good thing. But it gets kids used to doing that things, and then maybe try car camping, at an established campgrounds first. And you can bring plenty of gear with you because it all fits in your car. And you get to actually learn what you actually need. What you'll find with camping, hiking, and backpacking all have a very similar core learning point. You start out with a bunch of stuff. And then you've realized, I brought this out here and I have not used it 6 times in a row. I'm just carrying it around, or it's just taking up space in the car. It never gets used. It's still brand new. That's probably something you don't want to take out there again, And, the whole better to have it than not need it, than need it than not have it doesn't really work for car camping, because you can always get in your car and drive someplace and buy something you really, really need, right? So, and you'll learn why, if you truly needed it during that experience, you'll learn why you needed it. So, and maybe you'll use it more in the future. Okay, so off the car camping. Now, maybe next time, go with some experienced friends or family so you can learn from them. Maybe tell them right up, hey, listen, I've been camping several times. If you don't mind, let me be your helper. I'll just watch what you do, or you can tell me what to do, and we'll do that. Just give me like little tasks and I'll make things easier for you. And you'll be very surprised. You'll be very surprised that a lot of your friends and family will be like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. All right, so I'm going to go cook this, and I need you to prepare that. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of a lead follower, get the hell out of the way, situation where you have to decide to follow in order to learn. And it's not dumb. You're literally just helping out. So there's no effort. Wax on, wax off. There's no effort. Learning will occur. All right. So, and then the next thing you can do, which is you're really starting to get up there. Is to invest in the best gear that you can afford. A cheap tent might fail when it rains, but, or maybe borrow somebody's if you're, on a budget. But you'll learn through trial and error that sometimes buying stuff off Temu isn't the smartest thing in the world. No matter how many stars it has, you kind of get what you pay for in this environment, in this world of camping. So. And then obviously make sure that you always check, if you're going to go camping at a campsite, make sure you check their rules and their facilities before you go, because you might end up someplace where you're used to camping in one spot and they've got plenty of water, and so you don't bring a lot. And then, oh, by the way, now you got your family out there, this new spot, and they don't have water. It's considered a natural campsite. There's another word for it, but I can't remember the exact name for it, But what camping turns theoretical knowledge into real experience, and the more you do it, the more prepared you feel. If you guys had been following me at all, local prepper, I don't think I actually told you who I was. I'm Cal, aka the local prepper. If you'd been following me at all on YouTube, TikTok, whatevers, you'll know that I used to do a lot of weekend camping out of my Jeep, and I knew where I had that sucker set up, and it didn't look nothing like these fancy YouTubers that got, $100,000 vehicles and roll out this and pop up that, and it didn't look nothing like that. But I was good to go. I was absolutely good to go. I lived like a king, and you can too. And I guess the real advice on this whole thing with building real skills, kind of like you don't really know you're doing it, but you're doing it through experience, is to start small, stay consistent. And this is going to kind of force you to build real skills. These the seven simple activities that I just gave to you prove that you don't need to overhaul your entire life to start building survival skills. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars. I mean, if you want to, go ahead, but you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars, drive hundreds of miles. You know what I'm saying? Have hundreds of dollars of gear to go to $100 of course. You know what I'm saying? For a weekend to learn something that you could probably learn at your local camping spot, But what I want you to do is pick one or two that appeal to you the most and get outside and have fun. And you're going to do this, and you're going to learn stuff. I promise you will learn stuff. And consistency always beats intensity, is what I'm trying to tell you. If you just get out there every weekend, just set it up, cook some stuff, sleep overnight, or sit around a campfire, maybe drink some beer, something, and tear down in the morning, come home. I'm telling you, you're going to get good at it real fast. You're going to start learning very quickly how things really do work in that environment. And it's going to give you skills, and it's going to make you very aware of your capabilities. In the beginning, it'll be little, and towards the end, when you become more experienced, it will be like, yeah, no problem. Let's go. Let's get to set that up. Let's do this. Let's do that. We're good to go, man. 100%. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that. That's the way it's going to happen. Everything from loading the vehicle up, you'll have it all pre-staged in the morning or something like that. Maybe you'll load it that night in the back of the truck. But you're going to get into this systematic way of thinking, and this is going to build survival skills. One thing will build on top of the other. Okay, so we're getting close to the end here. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Okay, for everyone that came into the show today, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show. Go ahead and send us an email at itsdoomsdaypodcast@gmail.com telling us everything you want to tell us, because it might show up in one of our shows. And lastly, if you want to find me, the local prepper, aka Cal, aka the local prepper, just Google local prepper, all one word. I pretty much own the first 3 pages of Google. It's kind of scary. I do have a few YouTube channel. I have one that's about everything prepping, prepper news, and some live streams sprinkled in just for effect. Just look for Local Prepper on YouTube. The other one is brand new, and this one is Just Prepping. That's it. That's the name of it and everything. Just Prepping. This one is pure prepping, no politics, no games, just prepping. And, that's it. I'm going to get out of here, and I guess we'll see you back here for another exciting episode of It's Doomsday Podcast next Monday. See ya.
This is an emergency action message. At approximately 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NORAD is tracking 15 ICBM nuclear missiles inbound to the following cities: Orlando, Miami, Pittsburgh, Dover, Newark, Richland, Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, Seattle, Detroit. This is an extremely deadly situation. Stay tuned. The next emergency message will be a presidential address.